This review has been made possible by Chevrolet of Naperville. As you know, Chevy has tons of brand new cars and trucks available for purchase, but did you know that they also have a remarkable selection of used cars? Head on over to ChevroletofNaperville.com and look through hundreds of used cars for sale right now.
Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2010 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8. Up front is a 6.1 liter V8, and down below is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here SRT8 for one reason and one reason only, and that is that engine under the hood, the 6.1 liter. I'm so excited to share with you guys everything that makes this Jeep absolutely awesome, as well as everything that makes this Jeep absolutely terrible. We'll get to both sides of the field here in a second. Let's get back to that 6.1 liter V8 pushing out 420 naturally aspirated horsepower, and it definitely gets up and goes. This is not a slouch of a motor vehicle. Back straightaway today, we're feeling it. I can plus minus if I want, but I don't really feel like touching a Chrysler Trans. Here we go. It definitely has that throaty, lopey V8 sound to it. 6.1 liters, 420 horsepower. I really like the power of it. Ripping it, definitely even from second gear, third gear, fourth gear, you're going to have enough power and torque to really enjoy it. This is a fun SUV, and this is a quick SUV. Like I said, paired to it is an automatic transmission. It's fine, it shifts fine, and like you just saw in that pull, it does the job well. And last but not least, the SRT8 is all-wheel drive. So let's talk about the interior. This is where the SRT8 Jeep starts to fall. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. On the left is my fuel, then I have my speedometer, then I have my tachometer and my coolant temperature. Really like the tachometer, how it says SRT8 in it, as well as I get a little info screen down at the bottom. I like how the gauges are crisp, clean, and concise. Very easy to read, however they are a little bit dated, and that's going to be a running theme throughout the vehicle. One really cool thing about this little screen is the fact that you can do 1/8 mile time, 1/4 mile time, top speed, things like that, as well as a G meter in this little screen. This is sort of the predecessor to the SRT pages we find now in like the SRT Durango and Hellcats and things like that. You get little information here. I like that a lot, but kind of hard to keep an eye on because the screen is so small. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my options for that little screen and the gauges. I'm gonna show some options here. Not too much info, not as much info as you get in like an equivalent GM product, but definitely some nice things you might wanna keep your eye on, especially oil pressure and coolant temperature in specific units. On the right of the steering wheel, I have my compass button and skip track. Now, the steering wheel does feel pretty cheap. This feels like it was pulled out of a Jeep Patriot or a Jeep Liberty. And I don't really like that because the SRT8 was the top dog. This is the creme de la creme. This is the one. And to feel this sort of cheap feeling steering wheel just kind of bums me out a little. To the left of me, I have a little coin tray or what have you, and then I actually have pedal adjustments, which is fantastic. I think all SUVs and large vehicles should have this, so you can fully adjust the pedals to bring them closer or further away from you. On the door, I have my power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. And moving into the center, I do have a touchscreen infotainment system. This is a rather dated infotainment system. However, this is 11 years old, so I can't hate it on it too much. This is really when cars started getting touch screens, at least more in the mainstream, so pretty average there. One cool party trick, though, is that I can open and close it in order to put CDs into it, which I really like. Down below, I do have my traction control off button, hazard switch, outlet switch, so you can toggle the outlet on and off, we'll talk about that later, and the parking sensors on and off. Then I have my climate controls, which are monochromatic. They're all one color, which I don't really like. I wish that I got like the red and blue for hot and cold, but it's just all digits. So at the look of an eye, real quick glance, I'm not really sure what I'm doing all that much. And it's in very interesting increments. It goes 66, 69, 72, 75, 78 high. It almost sounds like a Lil Wayne verse. I don't know, not a big fan of that. Then I do have heated seats and a bunch of dead switches. SRT8, dead switches. Then we do have something that I really like, which is the two 12-volt outlets, one of which has a key on it, one of which has a battery. So the one on the left will only work when the vehicle is on. However, the one on the right will work no matter what. Vehicle on or off, it pulls straight from the battery. Chrysler is so smart for doing this, and I absolutely love that. Just now, this year, 2021, auto manufacturers are starting to catch on to something that Chrysler's been doing, I know for a fact, since 2004. Then we have the center console itself with the shifter. The shifter is the same one you'll find in the base model Jeep, Grand Caravan, any pretty much Chrysler product from this era. You have the same shifter, and I can plus minus it if I'd like, and it does retain the feature that when I'm plus minusing, if I hold it on plus, it'll shift back into the normal transmission where I don't have to plus minus. I really like that.
Down below the shifter, we do have two cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the SRT8, and in the right one, it does not fit, but in the left, it does fit the big friggin' bottle.
Before we get on with the rest of the review, I want to give a huge thank you to Fixed. Fixed is a Bluetooth OBD2 sensor for your car. You can plug it into any OBD2 vehicle, which is a vehicle manufactured after 1996, and you can take a look at your gauges, you can keep an eye on your temperature, you can see your speed, you can time your 0 to 60. There's tons of really cool features that will pair directly to your smartphone, and it gives you great insight on your vehicles. Fixed is giving my viewers a hefty discount, so click the link in the description below, get your own Fixed OBD2 Bluetooth sensor, and start learning more about your car. Now we got to talk about the seats. The seats are probably the one and only redeeming quality of the interior that I actually really truly love. They have high bolsters, they're sporty seats, they're comfortable, they're heated, they're power, they're memory. I forgot to mention the driver's seat is memory. And I love the look of them. I think they've held up really well for 62,000 miles. And overall, it's really great. However, these seats are pretty jammed in here. Chrysler didn't really think too much about putting them in and just kind of shoved them in and bolted them down. And I say that because the passenger seat is actually almost touching, or actually is touching the door. But speaking of seats, this is a 2-row SUV, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2010 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8, and a couple of things. First of all, this is my seating position, so I am smushed just a little bit back here, but it's not too bad. These seats don't feel like they were made for the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and they're like pushed up against the door. Like, I don't know, it's just weird. Anyway, I have a center console here. I can open just a little bit of storage because down here, as I will push the camera, I have fold-out cup holders, which are huge and will fit the big friggin' bottle, but the fronts do not. Speaking of down here, I do have two heated seats for either side with two levels of heated seats. Then I have a 115 volt, 150 watt wall outlet down here. It's a 2-prong, not a 3-prong, but nice that you still get that. Overall, the back seats aren't bad. They're decently comfortable, but let's go take a look at the cargo area behind the seats. All right, so we're on the back of the 2010 Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8, and a couple of things. First of all, the button for the key fob isn't even a Jeep. Like, it looks like a Honda Civic, actually, but the fun thing is that if you hit it twice, actually nothing happens. That's pretty sweet. Also, is that SRT badge crooked to you? Looks crooked to me. Anyway, one cool thing I do like about the hatch is that here you can hit the window and you can just open up the rear window of the Jeep. Love that because you can keep your stuff in here. Things aren't going to roll out or anything like that. I think all hatchbacks should have an openable rear window, but it's actually kind of hard to find these days. However, opening up the hatch now, that is not a stock sub. However, this is stock. I have a nice cargo cover I can pull out. I have a 12-volt outlet that runs off the battery, great for like camping or tailgating, things like that. And then I can pull this up for some extra storage down here. Very interesting way of getting it up because you actually have to sort of lock it like that. I don't know if you could see that. Very interesting there. Decent sized trunk. This is another redeeming quality of the SRT8, but not a big fan. Also, no power tailgate. For the amount of money you spend on these, no power tailgate, slightly sus. Now we gotta talk about the looks. I love the look of the SRT8. Again, probably one of its most redeeming qualities besides the engine and seats. I love the big Brembo brakes. Those are factory Brembo brakes. And I love the body kit that it gets. I love the center exit exhaust on the back. Overall, I think this thing looks mean. It looks aggressive, and it's a fun twist on a car that we've come to know and love so much, the Grand Cherokee. This is the evil twin of the Cherokee, and I absolutely love that look. Now we gotta talk about my final thoughts on the SRT8. Well, let's start off with the negatives because, oh, there are so many negatives. This interior is dissatisfying to say the least. It feels cheap in here. This feels like a rental Jeep that I would pick up at the Orlando airport. The screen is old and outdated. The shifter feels economy. The steering wheel feels economy. The gauges feel normal. If it didn't say SRT8, I would have thought that these were Dodge Dart gauges. Nothing in here makes me feel special, which is important when you buy a special car. The SRT8 is a special car, but it doesn't make me feel special in here. When I touch things, they rattle and creak. There's a suspicious dragging noise coming from the outside, which sounds like just like a dust shield or something of the sort, but this thing has 62,000 miles. Things shouldn't be dragging. The temperature gauge keeps dancing around between 185 and 215. Which is fine. That's what happens when you drive a car and the temperatures get lower, but it's a little worrying to watch. But then you can do this. And that makes my day a little bit better. Yes, it is fun to rip on. It's a very fun car to hit the gas on, and it's very rewarding. You hear that grumble of that 6.1 liter. And the 6.1 liter is very modifiable. If you want to throw a cam in it and a supercharger, you can make a lot more horsepower than 420. And really, this car was made to compete with the Trailblazer SS, another vehicle that I've reviewed, and I absolutely loved that 6-liter V8 in that car. And so yes, if I wanted to do highway pulls in a fast, quick SUV, this would be a lot of fun. This would be great for that. And yes, you can build these and modify them and make them faster and get them to 1,000 horsepower and make them spin the tires even on slicks. Yes, you can do that. But if I were going to buy one of these, I would have to live with it and drive it every day. And that's something I don't think I could bring myself to do. Because yes, on a straightaway, on an empty road, this is a ton of fun in a straight line, but stuck in traffic, I might as well be in a Jeep Liberty. Going to the grocery store, going to the gas station, which you're gonna do a lot in this SRT8. Going to my friend's house, I'm not ripping it. I'm not setting lap times. I'm not doing highway rolls. And so, yes, for 10% of this car's life, it's amazing and fast and fun. But for that other 90%, I don't think it's good value. I feel like I'm in a rental car. Rental car with a big V8, but a rental car. The SRT8 was the original fast Jeep. Now we have the Trackhawk making 700 horsepower, which is just insane. But this was the original fast Jeep. And yes, it's fast, but it's still a Jeep. And you're still gonna have issues down the road because it's a Chrysler product. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Chevy of Naperville for letting me take out their SRT8. This really was eye-opening. There's some things I love and some things I hate, and that was all thanks to Chevy of Naperville. Not only is this one of their used cars, but they do have like a GTO on the lot. They have a C5 Corvette, C7 Corvette on the lot. They have tons of cool, awesome cars. Please go check them out. They have been absolutely awesome. They are really, really cool, and I'm glad I was able to get behind the wheel of it. All thank you to them. Again, information is up on the screen. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.